Hello, this is Nathan, better known as CrazyhermitDM, and this is my podcast, The Hermit's Homebrew. Joining me today is Brent from Lake Media Studios as we talk about Dungeons and Dragons and tabletop gaming. Horror at the table doesn't come from the dice you roll, but from the silence in between. Tonight we're stepping into the shadows where stories do the real haunting. Just a reminder, want to help fuel episodes like this more, check out the sponsors linked below. They keep the candles burning and our microphones on. It is that type of season, or it is spooky season once again.
Yeah, finally.
Finally. We did a double amount of episodes, or 2 episodes last year. One was that. I was thinking about doing the same thing last year, of us making up our own adventure, but we did that last year, so I want to talk about something different this year and do something a little different. For anyone that's watching, did not catch the previous episode, Chase is unfortunately on hiatus till next spring because he's an esports coach and coaching just happens to be on the same night that he is.
Yeah.
We're not even really getting to see too much of him as much anymore either because it is pulling him a lot more away and it's esports season for a lot of his teams.
Yeah.
Horror TTRPGs compared to something like D&D though. Thrive on atmosphere, story, rewarding players that prefer like the investigation and the tension as opposed to the hack and slash combat.
Yeah, more of the role play and the skill side of it rather than combat. Yeah.
And like a typical dungeon crawl or horror game such as like Call of Cthulhu, or there's a couple of like more smaller ones that unfortunately I cannot name off the top of my head, and I apologize. Emphasize mystery, suspense, and even more so vulnerability. Especially Call of Cthulhu. Like there's Pop Call of Cthulhu that's a little bit more action oriented and you're a little bit more sturdy, but like Call of Cthulhu, you can die almost at any time.
Oh yeah. One that pops in my head came, I think it's 2 or 3 years ago. Was the it's based on Northern European or just European folklore in general. It's called Vasen.
I've heard of that.
And yeah, it's a D6 system. That's all it is, and it's one of those ones to where it's more theater of the mind, and combat is supposed to be avoided because it is deadly. They don't even have like attack rolls or whatever. It's just based off whatever your core stat is, and it's not even strength, dexterity, wisdom. It's not even that. It's different. So yeah, they're out there if you just know where to look.
For like you though, what draws you into horror TTRPGs versus a more combat heavy fantasy RPG? Do you find the story driven atmospheric approach more engaging?
It Yes. Sometimes it's just something different than D&D, Tales of the Valiant, rolling D20s and looking for a D12, looking for a D6 or a 4 or whatever. Sometimes it's better just to just get a couple of D10s and that's all you need. And also I really like the theater of the mind aspect of it. It gives even if you're not the game master, lack of a better term, even if you're not the game master, it allows your creativity and your imagination to run out and play. And you can really get into the descriptions and the environmental aspect of it. You get to feel like you're actually like researching or investigating something, trying to peel back the layers of this mystery. And it really changes the stakes too, because in D&D beyond level 4, you start getting really kind of crazy powers. You can start dropping like literal artillery on things, and especially when you get above like 14, you're changing the cosmos. And in games like Call of Cthulhu, you never get to that point. You will never get anywhere near that. The closest you can get is if you can get a Thompson submachine gun, and even then, that doesn't mean you're going to win.
No.
And sometimes using that means you won't. So I kind of like that because like D20 systems are, it seems, focused primarily on combat, or at least it's a very large part of the game. If you can get into something like Cthulhu or Vasen or something like that, it explores the lesser used side of tabletop games, and that is the role playing side of it and getting in and figuring out what's going on.
Definitely the theater of the mind. I
Theater
find
of the
that
mind, yeah.
that's a lot less used than it used to be,
Hmm.
especially back in like OSR 80s days where the the dungeon master back in like the 70s and 80s usually didn't draw a map for you. You had to have a mapper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you had to. Yeah, they just said this is what you see, and if you didn't draw it out, okay, you don't know, you're lost.
Well, plus, they didn't have nice.
Well, yeah, they didn't have the wet erase Chessex mats, and they didn't have awesome 3D printers to make everything. It was literally all just here's
Mm.
lined paper and go. I mean, if you use colored pencils, you were getting fancy.
Like you were mentioning, the like investigation over brawling, like a classic starter Call of Cthulhu module that we played. Because I was trying to do the math. We did not play last year just because of like kind of
Like
chaos and
scheduling and
scheduling and
stuff.
all
Yeah.
that.
Hmm.
Because we played The Haunting, and then we played, and that was in the spring because that was you guys getting to meet Sam for the first time,
Yes.
and
Hmm.
then that uh Halloween we played The Great Gatsby, King in Yellow,
Oh, okay. Yeah, the first one was when you had
Haunted
the
House.
haunted house one with the record player that kept
Yeah, and
playing.
that's
Yeah.
actually what I wanted to bring up was players exploring a creepy old house, piecing it's like grim history that there's cult like behavior with this previous person. The scenario is scary because of what you're discovering leading up to it,
Hmm.
not what you kill.
Oh
In
no.
fact, the investigators resort to fighting with a working entity dead on in one of those parts of the house, which I won't,
Yeah,
spoil
don't
for
want to
anyone.
spoil. Yeah.
And they're likely to suffer horribly. Like your character got his throat ripped, like
Yeah.
not out, but like
Severe damage.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
And
he was down to like 1 or 2 HP. He took a
hmm
heavy wound.
yeah, exactly. And yeah, and as it led on now to where he did recover to where he could show up in the second one, but he had vocal damage
Hmm.
to where he had a raspy voice and it literally hurt to talk.
Yeah,
So he didn't say huge long things. It was very short,
yeah.
very to the point because it actually hurts me to say this.
And then like in the King in Yellow, like well, spoilers because you'll find out right away when we're playing this year. We'll be playing at one of our local game establishments, Spielbound, because we'll have a larger group, hopefully,
Hopefully, yeah.
if people don't cancel. But your character ran out of luck to survive the King in
Hmm.
Yellow, like the encounter,
Went literally down to zero luck. Yep.
and you're supposed to recover that over time. It's been 2 years, just like it's been a year or 2 years since the last time we played there.
Okay, yeah. So it realistic times jumps.
Really,
Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
it's 1933 or 1931.
Okay.
We're now into the Depression.
Ugh.
Your dude hasn't really had much of a bounce back
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. And that makes perfect sense.
because he ran out of luck.
Yeah. So.
And you could turn those mechanical type things with like Call of Cthulhu or even Dungeons and Dragons or
Hmm.
Tales of the Valiant
Oh yeah.
or any of those, dungeon crawl classics and all that sort of stuff. You can take those mechanics and turn it into a story beat.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Use it to your advantage. Yeah. It
And
helps flavor it up. Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah. Absolutely.
By contrast, though, with the haunting for sure, you guys played it pretty close to the heart, and you guys played it pretty realistic. Like you went in there and investigated and got creeped out because of the radio.
Yeah. You're trying to play my character as the skeptic. Like
Hmm.
this is it's some guy in a mask. That's the scoot to blow the Scooby Doo thing. But then when weird stuff started happening, me, the player, knowing we're playing Call of Cthulhu and knowing that weird stuff is going to happen and that there are and monsters are real, I was like, okay, I know something weird's going on. I don't want my character to be in this by himself because I know he's going to die if something happens. But playing the character how he's supposed to be played, all right, I gotta go check it. Okay, the record player just kicked on. All right, I gotta go turn that thing off. You
Uh,
know,
and then yeah, you unplug it. And I looked up on Google how many households actually had plugins at that time because it was like 1927 at
mm-hmm.
that time. And a fair amount actually did. I was actually
Oh,
surprised. And
okay.
that's the other thing I like about Call of Cthulhu is you can get it very historically grounded.
Oh
You
yes.
make it
Mm-hmm.
more of a
Mm-hmm.
buy-in.
Yeah.
And I think Vicky liked that as well, because she had no introduction when she played D&D with us to like fantasy realm. She didn't have
Oh, okay.
the fantasy genre was new. Chase was saying that she was able to buy into Call of Cthulhu more because she had more of a grasp of what we were describing.
Oh, okay. Cool. All right.
And that's kind of gets into like overall this episode's what we're talking about was like the buy-in and like figuring out what to play off with people and like the theater of the mind, and you want to play on those as like I believe it's a keeper or
Yeah, lore keeper.
a
Yeah,
lore
the
keeper
lore
of
keeper.
Call of
Yeah.
Cthulhu, or
Mm-hmm.
instead of a dungeon master or game master. And you
Fallout's
want
the
to
overseer.
I find off my couple of one shots, you really want to play into the descriptions. That way you can get more into that buy-ins. If you got to monologue a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
because you're setting up the scene. And
Yeah.
tell them what you see or what they might taste, or not to well to shamelessly plug our sponsor, Scented Realms, what they smell, because the undead smell is
Ugh.
not, it smells
Ugh.
like a moldy old house.
Ugh. Yeah.
uh I personally like Valor, that smells like one of my colognes that I have. You were saying ironically the white tundra smells like soap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm.
And then I was having like Sam and her mom like, hey, this is one of my sponsors. I'm actually pretty proud of these guys. These guys are pretty cool. And they got it when I was trying to explain to her mom, who's not a gamer whatsoever. She goes, well, what's the purpose of this? Well, scent is a very underutilized thing.
Yeah.
Of like in anything. Like people don't even describe what they smell when they're playing D&D. I'm not trying to promote them here. I am, but I'm
Well,
not
yeah.
not actively with this part. But scent's a very underutilized thing. If you're able to say, hey, they open the door, and before you see anything, you get this big old waft
Oh, and
of
you
musk.
could send. Yeah.
You just like,
Mm-hmm.
you instantly sent your person on just edge.
Yeah. Because now, even as a player, if you smell that, if you have your life experiences can kick in, and just stuff that something's up. This doesn't smell good. You don't want to be there.
The undead, like with Scented Realms, like her mom smelt that and she goes, it smells like an antique store that doesn't have proper ventilation. Like that musky,
Oh,
yeah. Like those old antique stores out of a small town that just like,
yeah. Because yeah, who knows what's died in there?
yeah. She goes, that just smells like old bad wood
Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah. Yeah. It does. Oh.
that's gotten too much moisture in it and started to rot, and you
Yeah.
can smell it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we all know it. Like if you're listening to this, if you've ever been in an old antique store that's kind of run down, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah. Sometimes you walk into those antique stores, or whatever, and you get that wave of that initial scent washes over you, and you can get like that weird like lightheaded feel. You're like, whoa. And I felt that a couple of times. It's really disconcerting.
And that's one of the things I've done as a dungeon master, and I've noticed you've done the last couple of like sessions as well, that you've either taken onto your own or you've borrowed from me, is telling people it's like this
Mm-hmm.
in comparison. That way they kind of get that real world comparison to draw off
Yeah.
of.
Because
And
yeah,
that
no one's
you get that buy-in.
yeah, no one like because no one here has come out of a rock tunnel to a bioluminescent mushroom cavern with a huge lake, and there's an elven city. No, like we have no real world thing to come off of. Maybe if we've been into a cave before, or like a little caving tour or something, you kind of get the idea of what it's like to have a stone ceiling over you that's
And like
thousands of years
with
old.
our new campaign, like Josh couldn't understand like the mushrooms, like, and you know those bioluminescent mushrooms, they're just glowing constantly
Hmm.
in the dark, and he's like, yeah, all right, now blow it up to the size of a tree.
Yeah. Hmm. Like
And that,
Alice in Wonderland level sized, like
yeah.
huge. Yeah.
And then he got it in
Hmm.
his head what you're talking about.
Yep. Hmm.
Is there a time though when you think focusing on the story and the description rather than fighting made one of our horror one shots especially terrifying or memorable? What, like, not, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but like what narrative techniques do you think I've used or that you've heard me use in our last two things that just like seem to hit home with one of our players especially hard?
Well, obviously for me it was the record player. We talked about that. I know for Tove, when we were playing the haunting, it was the fingers coming out of the door as she was trying to hold it closed, because she knew this is going to sound really bad, but she knew we were down there. And so she knew that allies were down there. And so but she knew that we were finding something terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And so when she closed the door and was holding
And
it closed with
Vicky's character.
Yeah. So two of them were holding the door closed. And then the black,
Which I can't remember why they were holding it closed.
Yeah, because they left. They
Yeah.
ran for some reason.
Or they were upstairs while Sam, you, and Chase went downstairs.
Yes. And I forget.
And I think the dagger started floating.
Oh, I think that's what it was. I
And
think she got hurt.
Yeah, and she's like, nope. And then Vicky was still already upstairs.
Yeah, she
and
was
then
upstairs.
She shut the door.
Oh, Vicky was up because there was a ghost of a kid or
Well,
something?
that was the fingers.
Yeah, and so they slammed
the door. She was already still up there.
Mm-hmm. And so so that really freaked Tove out, was when the fingers came underneath the door.
And then and that was a callback to Vicky's backstory, which she'd already written by the end of that session. I'm a believer because I'm looking for my daughter. It's that 1408 with John Cusack. He's looking.
Yeah.
He's looking for his daughter, so he's going to all these haunted houses to try and make contact.
Mm-hmm.
So, then these fingers come across because this dude had like telepathic abilities. Help me, mommy, help me.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just like these old ghostly blue black fingers.
Yeah.
And then Tove goes, am I seeing this? Because this is calling to her. Yeah, you both see it and you hear it calling out to her character.
Yeah, and so that got to Tove there.
As a player or as a character?
As a player. Because this is kind of what is this? Because even mechanically speaking, this is going on now, and this isn't supposed to be happening, because there's supposed to be a layer of protection from me to the weirdness because the other players are in front of me. But this is happening right in front of me. This is happening right here, right now. That did kind of get to her.
It took away the safety.
It took away the safety. Yeah, exactly. Because she's like, okay, it's like the whole Simpsons. I'm in danger.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is happening. Okay. Because also in D&D, generally you don't get that
if you're in the back.
If you're in the back, unless the DM specifically does mechanical things with like spells or something. But
or
you can kind of
in the Mind Flayer fight have the giant golem, flesh golem, drop down from the ceiling.
So generally though, you can fight it. Because if it bleeds, we can kill it. If it's got hit points, we can kill it. You get into a horror game, that's not how it may not be how it works. Also for me in the Great Gatsby one, when we went to Carcosa, the descriptions of Carcosa and just trying to like visualize how that was, that kind of got to me a little bit. Like,
and then you get
this is weird.
And you get up to the throne room.
Yep.
And I did not, because it was a pre-written module that I changed. And I changed the description of when Sigourney Weaver opens up the fridge in Ghostbusters, and then you see the ziggurat with the light on top. And I said, you're walking now in this.
Yeah.
And he's sitting at
and he's at the very top. Yeah.
And he's not looking like he's disinterested. He's not even paying attention to you. He's not even there, which technically he's not.
Yeah. Yeah,
he's an elder one.
He's an old one.
And then Chase goes up and slaps him.
Yeah.
And then does nothing, and then he slaps him again. That's when the mask pops off, and that's when finally this inanimate thing.
Yeah, like, okay.
The ants got the attention of the giant.
Yeah, okay, you got. I love that description.
Yeah.
Of how like an old one to a human, it would be like a human to an ant.
Mm-hmm.
To where literally outside our realm of possibility until something happens that draws our attention to it. Like, I love it where it says, of course you're going to pay attention to ants if you walk into your kitchen and there's a circle of ants chanting your name. You're like, what's going on here? And you're like, oh, okay. And then you pay attention.
Just kind of watching.
Yeah, you're like, what's this? Okay, these ants are not physically capable of saying my name. They don't have human lips, but they're pronouncing it correctly. What? So I really like that analogy because yeah, like it at best it would be mild curiosity. At worst, it's open hostility. Of, oh, there's ants in my kitchen. Slap.
Yeah. Or, you know, you have a red ant bite your toe
Yeah.
or yeah, or, you know, on your hand if it's
Yeah,
crawling on.
or you're sitting there watching TV and you feel something on the hairs of your arm. You look down and there's an ant walking on you. That thing's dead. I'm not gonna just can we take you outside? You know,
Uh-huh.
it's gone. So
And,
yeah,
you know, 99.99% of the time that is the reaction. I mean, there might be that kind person that takes them out.
yeah, like today there was a huge moth, like
Yeah.
the size of my thumb, flying around. I'm like, okay, if I kill that, it's gonna make a mess.
That's a pretty human.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, there's like, okay. Like okay. And so I went and I found a glass. I put the glass on and I took the paper and I took it out.
I did the same when I was mowing the lawn today. There's a very one of those orange and black furry caterpillars.
Oh yeah.
And I kept trying to like lift it up and it balled up. So then
Like,
I went and got one of the metal signs that are against the house and just kind of screwed
like,
it
all
up.
right, get out of here, guy.
And then took it over to halfway between me and the neighbor's yard in the trees. I'm like, here you go.
Yeah, go live over here.
I'm like, I can't kill butterflies and caterpillars.
Kind of one of those things to where a vast, like you said, you know, it's like the pretty human. Like, yeah, I mean, if it was a roach, I would have just destroyed it
Which I'm sure
immediately. And then
I'm sure there are other ones possibly that think that. Of
yeah.
just like
Hey,
this one's not. For some reason, this one's not that bad looking.
Yeah, for some reason, your existence doesn't piss me off, so I'm gonna let you live. That is the kind of stuff that we just kind of don't think about. Like when we think about, especially growing up in a Christian household, you think of the benevolent God that's invested in you, that pays attention, that knows what's going on, and that wants to help you.
This episode's been brought to you by What's in the Bag? What's in the mystery bag? Relax, adventurers. It's not some grim movie ending. It's better. It's Heimdaller's Mystery Metal Dice Bag, loaded with 20 different styles of heavy, battle-ready metal dice. A random D&D class sticker of 13 possibilities, and a special Heimdall sticker with it. Perfect for your next chaotic moment at the table. So stop guessing, start rolling, find out what's in your bag. Okay, picture this. Your next game session, you drop a full 4-story guild hall on the table. Roof comes off, every floor is playable. It's from Centurion 3D's Guardia collection. Suddenly, bam! Your table goes from not just another session to one of your players will talk about for years. This is the kind of terrain that changes the game. Check out now at centurion3d.com and bring your world to life and bring yourself home your next story to tell about. That was always the hard part. Going back to D&D a little bit,
Yeah.
not horror, is just playing aberrations. Because, you know, and like in Eberron, they're so... we were told, like, literally in the Dragonlance books, those elder ones, of like, these guys are so advanced in their thinking that you don't even know exactly what's going on here.
Yeah.
And if they think they're going to be bested, they just disappear for a couple generations and reappear.
Yeah, because
And
we
I
literally have time on our side.
And that was like the thing I clinged on to with our last campaign boss, the Overseer. I love that.
Yeah.
It's like, you guys have to figure out how to get to him without, you know, Metal Gear Soliding exclamation mark and then I'm out.
Yeah, exactly. Because if we spook him, if we give him a chance, he'll just like, oh, okay. Boop. I'll come back in a couple 100 years when you're not around. Hopefully.
I do want to talk about like narrative techniques a little bit with like Call of Cthulhu and like horror games. Like when you're running a horror and trying to swap out the hard yes or no. We've talked about it on the podcast before, but one narrative technique is yes, but, and then the no end. And instead of like shutting down a player's ID, twist it.
Yep.
And do they want to kick in the door? You're like, yes, but then the hinges, and you failed the check. It's
Yeah.
like, yes, but the hinges scream like something is alive, and now whatever's inside is aware.
Knows. You're like if you're if you're in a horror setting and you're laying in bed and you're just drifting off to sleep and you hear that hinge, that happens to the bad guys too. You know?
Now, for the people listening, and I really, I thought of this as I was kind of like going over this episode in my head and kind of
Mm-hmm.
going over the kind of plot points I wanted to go over. Here's an deceptively evil thing to do, even maybe in D&D. If you're
Uh-oh.
doing like grim dark or this, if they're doing like a perception check and they fail, let's say like you're in the haunting or anything like that, and you're like at the base of the stairs, and you have like a flashlight and or a lantern, even if you're doing like Cthulhu by gaslight, because that's a
Ooh.
popular thing as well.
Okay.
Let's say you roll perception and you fail, and you can still describe that they see this thing at the top of the stairs, but all of a sudden your flashlight and the lantern go out. And then all you see is just two like glowing eyes at the top of the stairs.
And that's a nope when you close the
Yep.
door and you just walk away.
And that's just something you can do with the no, and your lantern goes out.
Yeah. It's like, do I see anything? No. And or you can swap it around. You can say yes and no but. You
And
know?
then if you're like running multiple sessions for like Halloween, I'd showed you this before we started recording, was there's the South Park people were
Mm-hmm.
running a writing class of but therefore but method with what they do. That way it kind of you can organically make the story as it goes along. Like if you want your horror game to feel player driven, take a page from, South Park of all people,
No,
and chain
they do a
every
really good job.
beat with but or therefore but. The players search the basement, but the floor collapses, blocking their exit.
Mm-hmm.
They crawl into the tunnels, therefore they stumble across an old shrine.
Yeah, don't go. This happens, and then this
This happens,
happens,
and
and then this happens.
then you're watching as they describe perfectly. Then you're watching a shitty,
Yeah,
session happen, or you're watching a shitty movie or TV show, and you're like, why am I here?
yeah. It's like none of these story beats, none of these scenes seem to connect.
And then they're gonna
Like,
feel like your players are gonna feel like they're being railroaded.
mm,
Just a majority, not to be that guy, of like Hollywood movies that are kind of doing it. Does not
oh
feel
yeah.
organic. It
Mm-hmm.
feels like you're being railroaded through this story.
A really classic way to tell with a movie, especially with movies, is if you're a third or a halfway through the movie and you're making predictions, and if the predictions come true, yeah,
Yes and no. There's certain things like that does sometimes make me feel good when I call it about a little bit before the reveal, or 3/4 of the way through. It's like I called it.
yeah. It's like, well, and if you're excited about it,
Yeah,
that's the key.
yeah.
If you're going,
It's
this
this.
is gonna happen, then this is gonna happen. Called it, or
I've watched
ooh,
enough.
this is gonna happen. Yes, like okay, there. That's the difference.
The thing that drives me nuts is just because I've watched so much horror movies, and especially since it's this time of year, I've been watching a lot more and getting
Yeah.
invested in our one shot coming here in a couple weeks, which we'll try and talk about as well on the podcast once that happens
Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh yeah.
towards the end of October. Is I is watching these horror movies, and I'm watching these ones that I haven't watched before, and it's like, here comes a jump scare. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then jump scare, and it gets me to go a little bit, but it's
Yeah.
like you can tell it's coming.
Yeah. Jump scares always get me because I like to get invested in movies. I like to suspend my disbelief. I like that. So jump scares always get me. It and it pisses me off when I go, there's gonna be a jump scare in 3, 2, 1, and then it happens and it still gets me. I'm
Either
like,
that or 3, 2, 1.
oh.
Uh.
Yeah, yeah. Like, okay, all right, you drug it out a little bit. Okay, yeah. But yeah, even when I know it's coming and it still gets me, I kind of like get mad at myself. I'm like, you knew it was coming. Why did you react?
Yeah.
But but I chalk it up to that's because I want to. I like it's like that X-Files poster I want to have in my house at some point in time in my life. Is I want to believe. I want to suspend my disbelief. I want to buy into this, and like I said, I want to be that guy. And when it's written in a way that I can't. It just the whole thing
That
just
would
falls
be,
flat.
I
Yeah.
think, as a like side tangent before we get onto the nut subject
Hmm.
of like, I think that'd be the hardest thing, just because I am a Mulder personality in real life.
Oh.
I am the believer
Uh-huh.
of playing the skeptic.
Yeah.
I chased it so well, annoyingly
I know. Oh
well.
my, yes, it was so annoying. Yeah, but he did it perfectly. Oh my gosh.
Like down to the last moment of that character's
Like,
life. He
no.
was like, it's like, this is just some dude in some, like Scooby Doo. This is just some dude in a white mask and
How did
yellow
we
robes.
get here? Nope. It's all smoke and mirrors.
It's
Like,
mirrors. We're obviously on a movie set or something like that, and just like, what the?
we've been walking an hour through
And
Carcosa.
you know,
How?
as a lore
Yeah.
keeper or a game master, it was irritating me because it's
Mm-hmm.
like, just buy in, you
Yeah.
stupid. And I knew Chase was doing it
Oh
to
yeah.
like double down, but I'm
Yeah.
like,
It's that. But it's
just buy into my. And I wasn't taking it like offensively or
no.
like, it's like, I'm irritated because you're not buying into
Yeah.
what I'm
You're
showing.
you're playing yes, it's what your character would do, but come on, just
There's like, but there's those characters
yeah,
in the horror movies even that
that are like
just
nope,
like,
nope, 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 nope. Like, what do I have to? Oh, you died. Okay, cool. Like, what's it gonna take for you to believe? Nothing, because they won't. They refuse to. So yeah,
and you
yeah.
know, for anyone that's, you know, watching, you know, not to bring that up,
No.
real world events right now, it's plausible.
Oh, it's totally plausible. It's totally plausible.
Going like into the devil's advocate point of view though,
Mm,
because we're talking about
I love doing this.
we're talking about theater of the mind and how I think that's plays it more into Call of Cthulhu.
Hmm.
And how if you want to get people's buy-in, that's how you do it. Is like,
Yeah.
Call of Cthulhu, you're not supposed to fight. You're supposed to avoid it at all costs.
Yeah, you're supposed to avoid it. Yeah.
But devil's advocate of why some crave the combat action and combat in horror. Not all players want to feel helpless.
Yes.
And you should empower your players, especially if it's a long form investigation like
Hmm.
the masks of, I'm gonna mispronounce it, Marthalop. There's a giant, well written Call of Cthulhu campaign
Hmm.
called Masks of Narthalop, or cannot
Oh, Narthal Hotep?
that. I bet you're a lot closer than me.
Anyway, yeah, that guy.
Apologies to anyone
Yeah,
listening,
apologies to Chaosium and everything who put a lot of work into
and
your
love,
stuff. I
yeah,
apologize.
and you know, to our viewers that are just like sitting here, it's this,
It's yeah, you're
freaking
just
like
screaming
this.
at us. Yeah.
I'm sorry. There is cathartic fun though in grabbing a shotgun and blasting a shambling ghoul. You know, going the Evil Dead Bruce Campbell route as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is my boomstick. Yeah.
It to make those players feel heroic and more of a, you know, the pulp Cthulhu type thing. Even in a horror setting, action-heavy horror games take inspiration from like films like Aliens with Sigourney Weaver, or the brand new TV series Alien Earth, which is one of the most amazing TV series I've seen in a very long time.
Ooh, okay.
Or Army of Darkness, as we just
Oh,
mentioned with
yeah.
Bruce Campbell,
Mhm.
where combat and horror and comedy mix and create this roller coaster of fear and excitement. And the great thing about Call of Cthulhu as well is like you throw in those action and those horror beats.
Mhm.
Your players are already, we're playing games because we're trying to escape, but we also
Yes.
have, you know, 95% of us, unless we're kind of a stick in the mud, have a juvenile sense of humor. So you're going to get those comedic beats already off that you don't even have to write them in.
Also, one of the things that if you want to take a psychology aspect to it, humor is a defense mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
If we start feeling out of our depth, if we start feeling uncomfortable or whatever, one of the things that people will do is they'll try to crack a joke. So if a player is trying to crack a joke, one, maybe they're invested. Maybe it's starting to get to them a little bit, and they maybe not want to admit it.
Jordan Peele, who's one of our more, you know, prominent horror people right now with
Yeah.
like Us and Them and all that, those movies,
Yes.
if you've seen
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
He says the biggest difference between a comedy and a horror is the way it's edited in a soundtrack.
Huh. Interesting.
I can show you a trailer from the way Mrs. Doubtfire is presented. And if it's presented with horror music and all that, it will come off as a psychotic dude trying to get back into ex-wives and kids' life and dressing up as a nanny to do so.
Oh, okay. Oh wow, okay. I'm gonna have to do some research into
Yeah,
that
well,
one.
I'll
Interesting.
show
Yeah,
you
yeah.
after the recording.
That's interesting.
Actually, here, I'll just edit.
Yeah, we, yeah.
I'm gonna show him, and then we're gonna edit this out.
Yeah. Okay. That was freaking good. Holy shit.
So
it's like shut up.
So
shut
for
up.
anyone that were just wondering, we just kind of edited this out, and so I just showed Brent a trailer online on YouTube of Mrs. Doubtfire, who's a classic '90s comedy
Yeah,
with Robin Williams.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And I showed it to him as somebody that re-edited it as a horror.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm watching that trailer, like reliving those scenes as the movie originally intended them, but listening to the music and seeing how that does change everything, it's, oh my gosh, he's a psycho that's trying to be with his kids at all costs and maybe stepping over some bodies to do it.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, that was really good. Oh wow.
But as I was saying, you don't need those comedic beats because your players will put them in. But like,
Yeah,
as Jordan Peele puts it as well, that's the big difference between a comedy and a horror is the way it's presented.
okay. Okay.
Or edited. Getting kind of back to the original topic of like playing devil's advocate with horror, though, Pulp Cthulhu and power fantasy, like recognizing the desire for like more combat, the makers of Call of Cthulhu made Pulp Cthulhu, which your characters are a little bit more hardy. They're now fighting, the others ones and all this sort of stuff, or the fish people of
Innsmouth and stuff like that. Would that be like Octoon Cthulhu and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Or okay, cool. All right.
A variant that shifts the tone from purest horror and action adventure into pulp mode of like Indiana Jones. Call of Cthulhu.
More heroic rather than investigator.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some other ones more combat friendly. There's like Morkborg, which I played at Great Plains Game Festival, which I'll be going back to in the spring. And
what did you think of Morkborg?
I liked it a lot. It's a grim, dark fantasy OSR D&D.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, it is a little bit more combat oriented, where you're building the dungeons room by room and all that sort of stuff. And it is amazing. I'll have to like kind of show you, and it's 1-2 books at most, and that's it.
Okay.
And then I think I think it was Morkborg or no. Okay, there's Pirate Borg, but there's also Morkborg. They go if they're teasing Wizards of the Coast when they did the 5.5.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, they're the ones that said that if we ever made another edition of this, we'll come into your home and burn the old copy.
Yes, that's what I remember. Okay, yeah, I remember something. Yeah, it's like, if we make a new edition, we will come to all of your houses. Like, please no. All right.
Similarly, for anyone that's a big kind of 90s horror fan like me, with like Interview with the Vampire the Masquerade also involves supernatural with brawling claws and fangs. There's vampires and werewolves and all of that stuff that carries fights into horrific states and gore and moral corruption.
Yeah, Vampire the Masquerade, I have the World of Darkness books from, like, I think they're either second or third edition.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe second. I don't remember.
But they got good old tidbits in there, because I have the PDFs of them off, I think, TTRPG maybe.
Yeah, and there's also just reading through them just for the lore standpoint is amazing. They did a lot of really good work.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't mind doing
That's half the
like
reason that. Anyone that's looking behind Brent with the books on the shelves, I'll be honest, I've played most of those, but there's some that I haven't played and I don't plan on playing, but I have them for the lore that's in them, and it's just amazingly good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that.
Yeah, and again, it's just a good for reading, just for inspiration, just so you can just not do the same thing over and over again. So yeah.
Do you think though combat kind of kills, or do you think combat kills the fear mechanic of like Call or Cthulhu?
It, if done correctly, it can heighten it,
Yeah.
especially when
It might take a little bit of experience from like a person running the game point of view.
yes. I mentioned on an earlier episode, I believe it's the horror movie Mama,
Yeah.
to where it's either Mama or no, it's the one that they can't exist in the light. To where if there's a light turned on, they literally can't they can't manifest.
I remember you
And
mentioning that.
I forget what movie it is. I
I
apologize.
haven't seen it, but I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
to where the monster, the ghost, the being is in the house, and these two cops show up, and the cops go into the house and they have their flashlights out and they're like looking, they're clearing the house very
It's like
tactically.
I was talking about
It's a weird, yeah,
I was talking about Boogeyman, which is a newer
yes,
one that's
yeah.
really well done. It got that one creeped me out, even though for some reason it didn't my sister, and that kind of pissed me off. I'm like,
Oh,
how did this not creep you out, but like a spider crawling in the room just freaks
yeah.
you out?
But yeah, so the cops are going through the house, and because they're flashlights, like it's a beam that the creature can't be in.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of the beams, it's good. So it manages to attack the cops from like the side or behind, where then they end up dropping their flashlights, and the cop comes up with his gun and he sees the creature and it's charging him. And the editors did such a good job to where every time the cop pulls the trigger, there's the muzzle flash. The muzzle flash makes the creature disappear. And as the muzzle flash goes away, it comes back and it's closer. So he's just mag dumping and it's not doing anything. I don't even know if it would do anything, even if it was there. But yeah, that was such a really good job of this cop is using the most lethal force that humanity has had for a really long time. Now, granted, we have like missiles and bombs and stuff, but everyone understands the power.
A personal handheld.
Yeah, a handheld firearm with multiple shots that one bullet can kill a human being. This is like the most power that this cop can carry on him at one, and it's totally ineffective. So if done correctly and appropriately, it can heighten the horror.
In the haunting, or I believe one of you had a gun on the creature in the haunting, like the ghoul type creature in there that.
Yeah, I had a my
Ben,
character.
you were.
He was a.
It was dealing some damage to him, but it was he had their ace. It ain't like an armor class. It's like a it's like a damage resistance.
It's a resistance, yeah.
So if he has 30 HP and he has like a damage resistance of 7 and you're only dealing 8 damage, he's only taking
1.
He's only taking 1 per thing.
Yeah, so yeah, my character had like a little 38 revolver or something because he was a private investigator.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I was like dumping rounds into them. I'm like, I've got 5 bullets left, and I dumped like 4 of them, and I'm like, this ain't working. So yeah, no, that was a hairy fight. So yeah, and also a lot of people take faith in oh well, I have armor, I have thick clothing, or I actually have dedicated armor. When something can hit so hard that it doesn't care that you and it's still dealing massive amounts of damage, you go, oh, I'm in danger, this is bad. Like in Fallout New Vegas, when you're in Good Springs, when you first start the game and you go, oh, I need to go to New Vegas. Oh, you pull your map up, New Vegas is right there to the north, I'll just hit north. No, you're not. Because you go through that area, there's the huge tarantula hawks that are running around called cazadors that are so fast that it is really hard to target them. There's death claws running like, oh, I'm not supposed to be here. You got to go the long way around. Eventually, you can go back to that area and you're like, okay, look, I'm a god now because it's an RPG. But originally at the start of the game, you ain't supposed to be there. They will kill you.
And they purposely did that.
Oh yeah, purposely, absolutely. Because yeah, like I again, talking about mimicking reality, the map of that Bethesda does, which I really have to give them credit for, like all of the places you go in New Vegas, like Good Springs, Prim, Sloan, Novak, all of these places actually exist. Like Good Springs is a real city or town.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's real. There've been people on Instagram and stuff that have done, hey, I'm gonna do my new Vegas run, and they will go to Nevada and they will trace from Good Springs. They will follow the courier's
They did the
path.
same with
to
76. Like a lot of people went to Virginia and the different.
yeah, they've so you can trace that path because these are all real places. So yeah, that was really cool.
One like kind of feather in the cap for some Fallout players before we kind of get back to what we're talking about was going to Camden Park.
Oh, okay.
Because that's an amusement ride there in 76.
Yep.
At least in that thing, I know it's probably the unpopular, stepchild of the series.
Well, if people liked it, hats
Yeah.
off to you. You are more than welcome to enjoy it. I did not, but if you did, hats off to you.
Some of the best horror campaigns do include occasional combat, though.
Yeah.
But they make those moments. You have to make those moments count.
Mm-hmm.
A fight in a horror game should be short, chaotic, and consequential. For example, that desperate 30-second struggle we're talking about with the ghoul in the dark cellar with your throat, where one investigator is wounded, slashed across the neck, like your character, and another drops the lantern in the fray, plunging everyone into darkness. That kind of scene keeps the horror high, even when the combat's happening. The difference is that the combat isn't an ends to a means. It's a complication in the story. Something that makes the things in there more frightening. Players should come out of the fight in a horror game breathing hard with more problems than what they walked into, especially in Call of Cthulhu. Injuries, lost resources, ticking clock. Tove's character in the last campaign she had like 60 or 70 sanity. She walked out with 30.
Yeah. She had a permanent, either a permanent or a severe.
Yeah. And then she'll find out here in a couple weeks, you've over these last 2 years, you've spent half that time in an asylum. Yes, your sanity's back up to where it is, but more recently, you've actually been living with Vicky's character because you just, your husband left you because you were in an asylum for a year, and it's the 1920s and 30s. People weren't as patient, especially dudes that like to be dudes of the 1930s.
Yeah.
And you're living with Vicky and just getting on your feet, and you just now got the stable job. But guess what? Investigation.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, they're just dragging me back in.
Yeah, and it's once again paying very handsomely, which is why you're here, because you're trying to do it straight this time and not be a criminal. Hey, tabletop gamers. Thank you for watching this episode of the Hermit's Homebrew. We come out with new episodes every Wednesday. Remember to like, subscribe, and share with your friends as we continue to level up and grow.